Have you ever looked at your own reflection and thought, what happened to me? Not in a dramatic, rock bottom kind of way, but in the quiet moments, the early mornings, the late nights, when the noise fades and the silence stings. You used to feel something: direction, hunger, clarity, but somewhere along the line, it slipped. Now you wake up, not to purpose, but to obligation. You move through your day, reacting instead of commanding. You respond to the world faster than you respond to yourself, and maybe no one sees it. Maybe on the outside, you're holding it together, but inside, you know, you've been leaking. Your energy, your edge, your identity, little by little, handed off to distractions, to people, to expectations that don't even belong to you. You're not lazy. You're just scattered, tired in ways most people never notice. This isn't burnout from doing too much. It's the cost of living unfocused, drained, and disconnected from your masculine center. You tell yourself you're busy, but the truth is, you're scattered. And scattered men don't build legacies. They drift through life, waiting for a moment that never arrives. You've been showing up for everyone else, but if you give this video just a few more minutes, you'll start showing up for yourself again. Not with noise, but with direction. Not with pressure, but with power. What you'll hear next isn't just advice. It's the strategy for becoming the man you were before the world scattered your focus. And if this already hit something in, you tell me. I want to know what part of you you're ready to reclaim. First, because the shift doesn't start out loud. It starts in silence. Inadecision no, one claps, four. In the moment you finally say, enough. I'm done scattering. I'm done explaining. I'm done leaking energy into places that never pour it back. This is the return, not to some new version of you, but to the you that's been buried beneath everything you thought you had to be. It's time to focus on yourself and let the world adjust to your energy. The hidden cost of being unfocused. You don't even notice it at first. The cost doesn't hit like a crash, it bleeds out slowly, quietly, drip by drip. One distracted thought, one wasted hour, one I'll get back to it later. And before you know it, your power is gone, not stolen, given away. You think you're just multitasking, checking texts between work, answering every message right away because you don't want to seem rude. Scrolling for 5 minutes, just 5 that turn into 30, but every time you break your attention, you weaken something sacred inside of you, your presence, your edge, your identity. The world today doesn't just tempt you to lose focus. It's built to make you forget who you are. Platforms, feeds, ads, apps, they're not just distracting you, they're reshaping you. They don't want you to think deeply, they want you reactive, addicted, trapped in shallow loops of stimulation while your real life, the one you were meant to build, sits waiting. Here's the brutal truth. No one says out loud, a man who can't focus is a man who can't lead. He can't build. He can't protect. He can't attract not deeply because his energy is fragmented. His direction is scattered. And people can feel that even if they don't know how to name it. You become forgettable. Not because you lack potential, but because your presence is diluted. You don't get remembered for being everywhere. You get remembered for being locked in, anchored, unshakable, in pursuit of something clear. And when you lose that pursuit, when you let every notification, every opinion, every external demand hijack your attention, you're not just losing time, you're losing you. That's the hidden cost. It's not just lower productivity. It's not just the frustration of unfinished projects or lost hours. It's deeper than that. You begin to feel invisible in your own life, uninspired, unnoticed. You start speaking softer, walking slower, making decisions that avoid risk rather than demand greatness. You lower your standards, not because you want to, but because your energy is no longer concentrated enough to uphold them. And here's the dangerous part. This becomes your new normal. You don't even feel the loss anymore. You adapt to it, numb to it. You convince yourself this is just adulthood, just being busy. But deep down, a part of you knows this isn't who you were meant to be. You were meant to command your day, not chase it. You were meant to build something unshakable, not bounce between distractions pretending to be productive. Marcus Aurelius said, "He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary." And that's exactly what happens when you let distractions run your mind. You suffer in advance by living scattered, unfocused, reactive, by bleeding your power into everything that doesn't matter, long before anything meaningful has a chance to grow. But the worst part isn't the cost you pay. It's the potential you bury, the man you could have been never born, never seen, because your focus was too divided to bring him forward. That's why this isn't about motivation. It's about identity. You don't need another productivity hack. You need to remember who the hell you are. You need to realize that every time you say yes to something that pulls you away from your mission, you're saying no to your own rise. And if you keep doing that, you don't just become unfocused, you become unrecognizable to the man you swore you'd become. The good news? You can reclaim it. Focus is a discipline, a return, a choice. And when you choose it, when you reclaim your energy from the noise, you don't just get time back, you get your life back. You get you back. So pause. Scan your day. Ask yourself, what am I bleeding into that gives me nothing back? And then cut it. Cold. Because the real cost of being unfocused isn't in what you miss. It's in who you forget you are. And the world doesn't need another distracted man. It needs you fully present, laser-focused, unapologetically on your path. What's one thing you know has been draining your energy lately, but you've been avoiding it? Write it down. Name it. Focus is the most masculine thing you can do. There's something about a man who's not looking around, who's not explaining himself, who walks into a room with eyes that don't wander because he already knows what he came for. You can feel it before he says a word. That quiet intensity, that grounded stillness, that sense that he isn't seeking anything because he's already aligned with himself. That's not arrogance. That's focus. And in a world full of noise, that kind of presence is rare and magnetic. We've been told that power is loud, that masculinity is dominance, volume, or posture. But the truth? Masculine power doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't need to flex. It simply is. And its source isn't aggression or attention. It's direction. A focused man is dangerous not because he wants to harm, but because he's unshakable. You can't manipulate him with flattery. You can't provoke him with drama. You can't distract him with pleasure that leads nowhere. Why? Because he's not running on impulse. He's rooted in purpose. And that changes everything. He doesn't react. He responds. He doesn't chase. He builds. He doesn't explain his value. He embodies it. Epictetus said, "Don't explain yourself to anyone. The fact that you are living as you do is explanation enough." That's the philosophy of a focused man. His life is his answer. His energy is his signature. And his silence isn't emptiness, it's clarity. Most men today are overstimulated but underpowered. They scroll, they swipe, they chase validation, then wonder why they feel small. The reason: they've outsourced their attention, and attention is energy. Once you lose command of it, you lose command of yourself. But a man who reclaims that focus, who learns to say no to noise, to women who waste time, to paths that go nowhere, becomes something different. He becomes centered. And that kind of man doesn't need to prove anything. He walks into a room and shifts the temperature, not because he speaks louder, but because his presence is ordered, intentional, aligned. Focus is masculine because it requires discipline, it requires boundaries, it requires a willingness to be misunderstood, even rejected, for the sake of staying locked into your vision. And that's what most men fear, not failure, but the isolation that comes with choosing clarity over chaos. But here's the paradox. When you focus, when you channel your energy into a single direction, the world starts to orbit around you. People respect you. Women feel you. Opportunities open for you, not because you were louder, but because you became undeniable. You became rare. You want to be seen? Get focused. You want to be respected? Get disciplined. You want to feel like a man again? Stop trying to be liked and start becoming immovable, because the truth is this: no one remembers the man who was available to everything. They remember the man who was committed to something, the man who was too locked in to be reactive, too driven to be desperate, too aligned to be pulled off course by chaos or charm. That's masculine power, not in how much attention you get, but in how little you need. Not in how loud your presence is, but in how much energy follows your stillness. It's not found in control over others. It's found in full control of yourself. So, if you've ever wondered why things feel off, why your edge has dulled, why your confidence feels fragile, look at your focus. Look at what's been stealing it, and then take it back. You don't need to conquer the world. You need to conquer your attention, because the moment you do, you stop living like a boy who needs permission, and you start walking like a man who doesn't apologize for being sharp, silent, and fully in command. Let the others chase everything. You choose focus. You choose power. You choose you. How distractions destroy sexual polarity. There's a reason she doesn't feel it anymore. That tension, that draw, that spark that once pulled her closer to you without needing a word, it's fading. Not because you changed your haircut, not because she found someone else, but because you lost something far more primal, your direction. Masculine energy is presence. It's anchored, it's focused, and when that focus drifts, when your mind starts living in tabs, notifications, endless, half-finished thoughts, you stop being a force. You become noise. And feminine energy doesn't respond to noise. It responds to structure, to intensity, to stillness charged with purpose. Distractions don't just steal your time, they strip you of polarity. You think it's harmless? Checking your phone while she talks. You think it's nothing when you interrupt your flow to scroll, swipe, shift from task to task without finishing anything. But what she feels, without knowing how to explain it, is that you're not here. You're not with her. You're not even with you. She stops leaning in. You stop being the current she can rest in, and suddenly, everything feels flatter, colder, more transactional. The polarity is gone. And that's what attraction lives on. Not shared interests, not chemistry, but energetic contrast. Masculine direction meeting feminine flow. And when you're scattered, you become flowless, drifting, passive, soft. Seneca once said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." And that's the hidden death of modern men there, spread thin, mentally, emotionally, sexually, because they've never learned the art of holding attention, of building inner gravity so strong it bends the room around them. And Yeshi feels that every woman does. A man who can hold his gaze, hold his purpose, hold his word is rare. That rarity is what builds polarity. It's not about being rich. It's not about being ripped. It's about being anchored. A man whose energy says, "I know where I'm going. And if you want to walk with me, you can. But I won't chase." Distraction is the silent killer of attraction, because the moment your energy gets pulled in 10 directions, you stop transmitting that primal signal. You stop being the mountain. You become the wind, and she can't trust the wind. Let that sink in. She can't relax into someone who isn't solid, who isn't leading himself, who isn't more committed to his purpose than he is to fleeting comfort. Because if your attention can be bought by a screen, a text, a dopamine hitho, will she ever trust it to hold her? Masculine energy is depth, stillness, penetration, not just physically, but energetically. It says, "I'm here, I see you, but I won't abandon myself for you." And that is what makes you irresistible. Not charm, not cleverness. Focus. It's not about being rude or cold or distant. It's about being present entirely. When you work, you work. When you rest, you rest. When you're with her, she gets all of you. No fragments, no split attention, no glances at your phone to check who else might be more interesting. Because nothing is more interesting than the moment you've chosen, and she can feel the difference between a man who's physically present and energetically distracted. She can tell when your eyes are elsewhere, when your energy is diluted, when your power has left the room, even if your body stayed. This is why focus isn't just discipline, it's seduction, it's magnetism. A woman doesn't want a man who clings. She wants a man who's claimed something larger than her, a man who moves toward his mission and invites her into that gravity. But if you keep scattering your attention, if you keep losing yourself in pixels and notifications, don't be surprised when the polarity fades. Don't be shocked when she starts pulling away, not because she stopped caring, but because she stopped feeling you. Want her to feel you again? Stop being everywhere. Be here, entirely. Hold your focus like it's sacred, because it is. Because nothing destroys masculine energy faster than distraction, and nothing rebuilds it faster than full presence, not just for her, but for you. So the next time you feel disconnected, don't blame her. Don't blame your job. Don't blame the spark. Trace it back to your focus and take it back. That's how polarity is restored, not by chasing her, but by returning fully to yourself. When did you last feel disconnected from your masculine edge? Be honest. That moment matters. The morning discipline that no one sees. A focused man doesn't look different. He moves different. He speaks less. But every word carries weight. He doesn't rush, arrives. And the secret isn't some morning routine he bragged about online. It's not about waking up at 5 a.m. to prove something to the world. It's about what no one sees. The quiet decisions he makes when no one's watching. The silent rituals that shape his presence long before he steps outside. Because a man's power doesn't come from what he does once in a while. It comes from what he does consistently, and the most focused men aren't loud about it. They don't post about their grind. They just live it deliberately. Their lives are built on rhythm, not chaos. Order, not noise. And that order doesn't start with ambition. It starts with ritual. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." And that's the heart of these rituals, protecting your focus from being hijacked by the meaningless. It starts the moment he wakes up. Before the world can interrupt, he anchors himself. No scrolling, no checking who messaged him. The focused man doesn't begin his day in reaction, he begins it in command. Maybe he breathes, maybe he writes, maybe he just sits with himself for 5 minutes and listens to the silence. But in that stillness, he reclaims his attention before the world even has a chance to steal it. That's the morning lock-in. Then comes the midday reset. When most people are mentally fractured, overstimulated, reaching for caffeine or their phone just to copy pauses, not for escape, but for recalibration. He steps away from the noise, breathes deep, and returns to center. It could be a walk without his phone. It could be a few lines in a journal. It could be complete silence in a closed office with the lights off. What matters isn't what he does. It's that he remembers who he is in the middle of the storm. Then there's the evening shut-off. While others lose themselves in endless content, the focused man disconnects to protect the integrity of his mind. No blue light glow until midnight. No mindless scrolling. His nights aren't random, they're ritualized. He winds down like a warrior sheathing his blade. With intention, with stillness, with boundaries. Not because he's trying to be perfect, but because he understands. Every moment of scattered energy compounds. Every undisciplined night is a message to his subconscious. Your focus doesn't matter. And that's not a message he's willing to send. These rituals aren't about control for the sake of control. They're about respect, self-respect. Because a man who builds containers for his energy builds certainty in his world. He's not always trying to figure out who he is. He's reinforcing it every single day. Focused men don't get there by accident. They create conditions for clarity. They remove decisions from the equation. So, discipline isn't something they have to force, it's something they fall into because the structure is already there. And when a man's life has structure, his mind sharpens, his energy consolidates, his presence becomes unmistakable. There's a reason you feel different around certain men. It's not charisma, it's not luck. It's their rituals, their hidden, unshakable consistency behind the scenes. While others are leaking attention in 1,000 directions, they're preserving it, investing it, refining it. The focused man knows that his rituals are sacred not because they're trendy or aesthetic, but because they protect his mind, mission, and masculine edge. So ask yourself, what are you repeating every day that's building the man you don't want to become? And then ask, what silent rituals could you build, starting tomorrow, that would align your life with the man you know you're meant to be? Focus isn't a trait. It's a rhythm, a ritual, a quiet decision made over and over until it rewires who you are. The focused man doesn't need motivation. He has structure. He doesn't need to tell the world what he's doing because the world feels it the moment he walks in. How focus turns you into a magnet. There's something unexplainable about him. He walks into the room, and people turn not because he's loud, not because he's trying, but because there's a gravity to him, a presence. You can feel it before he speaks. You can feel it even when he says nothing at all. That's the power of focused energy. In a world full of men leaking attention, a man who is centered, who is clear, calm, and locked into something deeper becomes magnetic, not because he's trying to be attractive, but because attraction is the natural consequence of alignment. People want to be around someone who knows where he's going. Women notice it immediately. They may not be able to articulate it, but they feel the pull of a man whose energy isn't scattered in 1,000 directions. He's not looking for approval. He's not chasing validation. He's leading himself, and that leadership internal, unwavering is rare. You've been lied to. You were told to be nice, be available, be agreeable. But what truly draws people to you is not how much you bend. It's how clearly you stand. Focus isn't just clarity, it's certainty. And that certainty emits a frequency that cuts through noise. It's not bravado. It's not ego. It's the silent hum of a man who is not for everyone, but fully for himself. And that's irresistible. Seneca said, "Let no one think that he is loved by anyone who loves no one." But it goes deeper. You cannot be seen by the world until you've fully committed to seeing yours clearly, honestly, without apology. And the only way to do that is to stop giving fragments of yourself to everything and everyone around you. You become magnetic when your energy is no longer diluted by drama, distraction, or desesperación. You become magnetic when you are no longer accessible to chaos. Women notice. They notice the man who doesn't rush to respond because his time is full. They notice the man who listens more than he speaks because he's not trying to perform. They notice the man whose gaze doesn't wander not because he's trying to control himself, but because he simply has no interest in escaping the moment. His presence is full. His attention is whole. That's what makes him unforgettable. Focus is the difference between being seen and being felt. When you focus on yourself, not selfishly, but intentionally, you start radiating differently. You walk differently. You respond slower. You speak from deeper places. Your words carry weight. Your boundaries don't have to be declared, they are understood. And people can't help but adjust their energy when they're near you. Not because you're demanding respect, but because you embody it. This is the magnetism no one teaches you. It's not about manipulating others, it's about mastering yourself. When you're focused, you become less reactive, more discerning. You stop tolerating things that waste your time. You don't chase, because you understand that anything meant for you will rise to meet the standard you've set for yourself. And that's the shift. When you stop trying to attract and start becoming, you naturally draw in the right people, the right moments, the right opportunities. You stop begging the world to see you. You become the world's reminder of what it means to be grounded, directed, and whole. Focus isn't a strategy, it's a signal. And once you send that signal consistently, the world will rearrange itself around you. So if you've ever wondered how to be respected without forcing it, how to be desired without performing, how to walk into a room and have it bend around your present, start here. Stop chasing, get focused, and let your energy do the talking. The most attractive men are silent builders. You won't see him posting quotes every morning. You won't find him seeking applause. He's not broadcasting his every step. He's building quietly, deliberately, with a level of focus most men only talk about, but never live. He doesn't ask to be seen. He becomes someone who can't be ignored. This man, he's not perfect, but he's committed. He knows who he used to be, distracted, unsure, constantly pulled in 1,000 directions by women who didn't respect him, jobs that drained him, and voices that told him to be everything except himself. He remembers what it felt like to be overlooked, to feel invisible in a world that rewards noise, but no, he's different. He doesn't rise for attention. He rises for purpose. He doesn't chase approval. He chases clarity, and every day, brick by brick, in silence, in solitude, through sweat, stillness, and sacred repetition, he's rebuilding a life that reflects his worth, a presence so focused it changes how the world responds to him. That's what makes him attractive. Not his looks, not his money, not how loud he can be, but how deeply he's committed to becoming unshakable. That's rare, and in a world addicted to chaos, rarity becomes power. Maybe you're still becoming that man. Maybe you've fallen off. Or maybe, for the first time, you just realized you've been giving your energy to everyone but yourself. This isn't about shame. This is about reclamation. Your focus, your power, your edge, and you're not alone in it. Every man who hits play on this kind of message isn't just consuming content, he's stepping into a new standard. He's joining a quiet brotherhood of men who are done with the noise, done with being ignored, done with leaking their presence into places that don't deserve it. By choosing to reclaim your focus, you're not just upgrading your own life, you're helping make this insight accessible to other men just like you. Men who are tired of the friend zone, tired of walking into rooms and feeling unseen, tired of not knowing why it all feels so flat. You sharing this video, subscribing to this channel, being part of this movement, it's not about a number. It's about restoring direction to men who lost theirs. It's about helping one more man out there remember that he doesn't need to chase to be chosen. He just needs to build silently, powerfully, and without apology. So if this message resonated, if it woke something up in you, stay. Be part of this, not just as a viewer, but as a quiet force for change. Because when one man gets focused, truly focused, it doesn't just shift his life. It shifts everyone around him. Let's build in silence, and let the results speak loud enough for all of us.